is emerging on the world's oceans may signal a dangerous new phase in the global sanctions battle. New data now reveals a growing number of so-called shadow fleet oil tankers that are actively seeking Moscow's protection from Donald Trump. This the tankers are doing by switching their flags of registration to Russia. This shift has sharply accelerated after the United States began seizing vessels carrying sanctioned Venezuelan oil. As Washington moves to reshape Venezuela's oil future, an unexpected winner is emerging: Russia. New maritime intelligence shows Moscow quietly expanding its grip over the global shadow fleet, just as the United States ramps up enforcement against sanctioned Venezuelan crude. According to Lloyd's list, there has been a sharp acceleration in oil tankers switching their flag of registration to Russia, a move widely seen as an attempt to gain protection from U.S. seizures. In December alone, 17 sanctioned vessels abandoned fraudulent registries and reflagged under the Russian banner. At the center of this shift is a tanker once known as Bella 1. The ship was intercepted by U.S. authorities on December 20th while en route to Venezuela to load sanctioned oil. At the time, it was sailing under a fake Guyana flag. Days later, Russia notified Washington that the vessel had changed its name, now Marinera, and switched its registration to Russia, mid-voyage. Tracking data shows the tanker has since left the Caribbean and is now near Iceland, heading toward Russian waters. Lloyd's list says the timing was no coincidence. This was an attempt to place the ship under Moscow's protection, beyond the reach of U.S. enforcement. And it wasn't alone. Another sanctioned tanker, now called Hyperion, reflagged to Russia just days later. That ship had previously delivered Russian naphtha, a key chemical used to thin Venezuela's heavy crude, allowing it to be exported despite sanctions. Despite a growing U.S. naval presence, the vessel exited Venezuelan waters untouched. Experts say the message is clear. As Washington tightens pressure, Russia is absorbing risk and gaining leverage. President Donald Trump has said U.S. oil giants will invest billions into Venezuela's energy sector following Nicolás Maduro's overthrow, with Chevron, ExxonMobil, and ConocoPhillips preparing talks with the administration. But analysts warn the enforcement push is producing unintended consequences. More than 40 shadow fleet vessels have now registered under Russia since June. Globally, over 12% of the world's tanker fleet is operating outside traditional insurance and regulatory systems. Many of these ships are aging, uninsured, and invisible until something goes wrong. Lloyd's list warns a major spill involving one of these tankers would raise a chilling question: who pays for the cleanup? As Russian-flagged vessels pass through NATO waters, often under false identities, a deeper challenge looms. Will the United States be willing to intercept a Russian-flagged tanker? Because if not, Moscow's shadow fleet may soon become a permanent feature of global oil trade, protected, emboldened, and operating in plain sight. And as oil flows, so does power.
The United States has captured Venezuela's president in a midnight raid, and now Donald Trump says America is taking its oil. As Caracas counts its dead, Washington counts barrels. 30 to 50 million barrels of Venezuelan crude headed straight to American ports at market price under presidential control. This is no longer diplomacy. This is power politics, live and raw. President Donald Trump announced Tuesday that Venezuela's so-called interim authorities will supply the United States with between 30 million and 50 million barrels of high-quality oil. The oil, Trump said on Truth Social, will be loaded onto storage ships and delivered directly to U.S. unloading docks. Trump added that the revenue from the oil would be controlled by him as president and used to benefit both the American and Venezuelan people. Trump has doubled down, saying his administration will now run Venezuela policy and push its leaders to open vast oil reserves to American energy companies. The White House is now organizing an Oval Office meeting with executives from Exxon, Chevron, and ConocoPhillips to discuss Venezuela's future energy landscape. Trump has also dismissed Democratic criticism of the raid, arguing both parties long agreed Maduro was illegitimate. Speaking at a House Republican retreat, Trump complained Democrats refused to credit him for what he called a successful operation.
And it was an amazing military feat that took place yesterday. Think of it, an amazing military. The people are saying, well, thank you. You know, people are saying it goes down with one of the most incredible. It was so complex, 152 airplanes, many, talk about boots on the ground. We had a lot of boots on the ground. But it was amazing. And think of it, nobody was killed. And on the other side, a lot of people were killed. Unfortunately, I say that, soldiers. Cubans, mostly Cubans, but many killed. And they knew we were coming, and they were protected, and our guys weren't. You know, our guys are jumping out of helicopters, and you're not protected, and they were. But it was so brilliant. The electricity for almost the entire country was, boom, turned off. That's when they knew there was a problem. There was no electricity. Caracas said, there's no electricity. It's not a... The only people with lights were the people that had candles. It was just off. So we sort of got them a little by surprise. But it was brilliant tactically. It was an incredible thing. But I watched where Schumer, he's such a bad guy. I mean, I've known the guy for a long time, and he's such a bad guy. You know, at some point they should say, you know, you did a great job. Thank you. Congratulations. Wouldn't it be good? I would say that if they did a good job. Their philosophies are so different, but if they did a good job, I'd be happy for the country. They've been after this guy for years and years and years. And, you know, he's a violent guy. He gets up there and he tries to imitate my dance a little bit. But he's a violent guy, and he's killed millions of people. He's tortured. They have a torture chamber in the middle of Caracas that they're closing up. But he's tortured people. But the United States proved once again that we have the most powerful, most lethal, most sophisticated, and most fearsome. It's a fearsome military on planet Earth, and it's not even close. You know, I've been saying it for a long time. Nobody can take us. Nobody. We don't want to have it. We don't have a discussion, but you read all and you see everything else. Nobody could have done that. Nobody has our weapons. Nobody has the quality of our weapons. The problem is we don't produce them fast enough. We're going to start producing them much faster. We're going to be very tough on the companies. We have the best weapons in the world, but it takes too long to get them, including allies. When allies want to buy them, they have to wait 4 years for a plane, 5 years for a helicopter. We're not letting that happen anymore. We're telling our defense contractors, you're going to start building faster. You know, guy makes... I have a big problem with it. I'm the king. I have sold more Boeings than any human being on earth. They gave me an award, Salesman of the Year. I said, what about Salesman of the in the history of Boeing? I've sold more Boeing planes than any man in history by far, probably over 1,000. Over 1,000 planes. I said, that's the good news. But why should they wait 3-4 years to get a plane? They should build them, get them immediately. The F-35s, it takes too long to get them.
Soon after Trump's announcement, Colombia's foreign minister says oil and economic interests lie at the heart of the conflict between the United States and Venezuela.
I also want to be very clear that as a government, we are fully aware that in this situation, we are playing for peace in the world. And as we have said, and as we always reaffirm, Latin America has been a land of peace, and really this whole conflict is related to economic interests. The need for oil for a fossil fuel-based economy like that of the United States means that they carry out these pursuits, and that according to, yes, the doctrine they put forward, which is the primacy of their own particular economic interests as a country, They cross and overstep the red lines of principles and of relations between nations. And that is the root of the conflict that exists with the United States. As you well know, throughout its history, the United States has been a country that has intervened in different countries in search of the resources that it needs for its economy.
Trump's announcement came just hours after Venezuelan officials confirmed that at least 24 security officers were killed during a U.S. military operation that captured Nicolas Maduro and flew him to the United States to face drug charges. Caracas says the raid unfolded in the dead of night, leaving dozens dead, including civilians, and triggering accusations of war crimes. Venezuela's Attorney General, Tarek William Saab, said prosecutors will investigate the deaths, describing the strike as an illegal act of war. Meanwhile, interim President Delcy Rodriguez declares 7 days of mourning for soldiers killed in U.S. attack.
We, as the Public Prosecutor's Office, have appointed 3 prosecutors to investigate the dozens of casualties, both innocent civilians and military personnel, that have occurred in the midst of this war crime, of this unprecedented aggression against the Venezuelan homeland.
The most important thing the 3 kings have brought us is that we become aware of what it means to safeguard the peace of our country, of what it means to ensure that Venezuelan men and women can live in peace. That is the most important thing, that the harassment ends. I have said it in every way possible, that the harassment of Venezuela ends, that the aggression against Bolivar's brave people ceases. And from here, a message to our young martyrs who gave their lives in defense of our country. Young martyrs, I have made the decision to declare a 7-day period of mourning in honor, and glory of the young people, women, and men who died, who gave their lives defending Venezuela, defending President Nicolas Maduro. Our recognition goes out to them.
Maduro was indicted in the U.S. in 2020 for narco-terrorism and cocaine trafficking, with a $50 million reward now offered for information. With oil trading near $56 a barrel, the deal Trump announced could be worth up to $2.8 billion. That amount represents just 2.5 days of total U.S. oil consumption. As oil moves north and power shifts south, the world is watching, because this is no longer just about Maduro. This is about who controls the hemisphere next.